So we can use algebra to help us solve difficult problems and make them a lot easier. And part of doing that, we need to be able to form expressions and form equations. So that's what we're going to have a little look at now. So let's say that I gave you this rectangle, and I said, can you please give me an expression for the perimeter? So you might look at this rectangle, you might say, well, I know the opposite sides of a rectangle are equal, so that means that that side there's 2b as well. I know the opposite sides of a rectangle are equal, so that means that this side here must be 3a. And you'll say, right, well, if you wanted the perimeter, then to work out the perimeter you have to add up all of the sides. So if I add up all of these sides, what will I have? Well, I've got 3a's here, plus another 3a's. Well, that's going to be 6a. But I've also got some other stuff as well, haven't I? I've got these two sides as well to add on. I've got 2b's plus another 2b's, so in total I've got 4b's, 4 groups of b. This would be an expression for the perimeter of that rectangle. Okay, we'll come back to that a little bit later on. Right, here I've got some angles on a straight line, and I might say to you, what is the total angle of those two combined? What's the total angle? So you might say, right, well, I know that those two angles together, well, if I've got x and then I add on another 2x's, then in total I've actually got 3x. So you can say, right, well, the total angle there is 3x. And so that would be an expression. Here's my expression for the total angle in that diagram. I could do another example of forming an expression. So I could say, I think of a number, add 3 to my number, and then double it. So I could say, I think of a number, let's call it n. I add 3 to my number, so I add 3. And then I have to double it, so I have to do all of this, and then I need to double it, so I have to times it by 2. And this would be an expression for whatever the answer is. Now, those are expressions, and notice that there's no equal signs there. And that's the difference between expressions and equations. Equations do have equal signs. So let's have a look at this example here. Now, I want to form an equation. Now, we said already, didn't we, that for this rectangle, what was it? We said it was 6a plus 4b. That was the perimeter. The perimeter was 6a plus 4b. That was an expression for the perimeter. But in this question, it also says the perimeter is 25. So this expression for our perimeter, we can say that is also 25. And notice then what I've made here. This is an equation. It's got an equal sign, so it's got an expression, and it's got an equal sign in it. Okay, that is the difference between an expression and an equation. So how about the next one here? So we said here, we had some angles on a straight line, and we know actually that we've got an angle fact that we know adjacent angles on a straight line add up to 180 degrees. So that means that in total those 3 x's are equal to 180 degrees. So I could actually work out what x was somehow once I've formed this equation. Right, one more at the end here. So we said I think of a number, I add 3 to my number, and then I double it, and they've told me the answer. They said the answer was 32. So I could make an equation. So let's write out an expression first. So I think of a number, n, I add 3 to my number, then I double it, and they've told me the answer. They've said this answer is 32. So that is an equation. Okay, so just notice the difference there between the expressions and the equations. Equations have equal signs, expressions do not.
Joash Maths.